We obviously were planning on having Maddie Stewart from Dash Carolina, who's their recruiter, on today. And she texted me last night at like midnight that she got strep throat and it felt like she was swallowing razor blades. So I pivoted and I put the bat signal up, like metaphorically. And Joe Oz is known as the Batman of Asbury Park. Right. So Joe Oz answered the bat call, and it's going to be, we're going to be going through the same concept, same similar set of questions and stuff, just around recruiting specifically and what's working and what's not working. I'll let Joe introduce himself real quick. We're going to wrap for about a half hour, but my goal is with any of these lives that we do or any of these sessions to have people leave with something tactical that they can go and apply in their business in some way, shape, or form. It's always fun on these where we kind of shoot the shit and just have a conversation. But I always like to set the precedent of it's really easy to come to these conversations and have so much information dumped into the top of your mind, top of funnel, that it's difficult to like kind of conceptualize what you actually learned and what to do with it. So as we jump into this, pick one thing, right? Try one new thing and close that knowing doing gap a little bit. They'll probably be in good shape. So Joe, do you want to introduce yourself? They know you're the Asbury Park Batman, but what else besides that?
Thanks, Chris. Well, one of my core values is fun. My father was a wedding DJ.
Cool.
In the ages of 9 to 14, I was his assistant. So I was doing the YMCA. I was singing Moni Moni. Yeah, I had a construction hat and a microphone. I was 13 years old. So I like to bring fun to my real estate organization. I'm friends with you because you're a lot of fun to be friends with. And we can have some fun today. That'd be cool. The other stuff's kind of boring. I run a remote real estate team. What that means is I'm in Orange County, California. We run a real estate team in New Jersey. We doubled our units volume and production from 2022 to 2023, thanks to the Zillow Flex program, thanks to Humaniz, thanks to all my friends and mentors that helped me. And my goal in life was to be geographically free. So I get to sell a bunch of real estate and move around throughout the United States. And that's really fun for me. And Chris is huge. You've been a huge part of that, man. So thanks for helping.
I will Venmo you the $50 I promised you for saying nice things about me as soon as we're done. That's a joke. I'm not Venmoing Joe. But maybe I will. That's a good idea. Joe, let's talk about, I think the thing that's fresh and top of mind for a lot of folks is like, especially team leaders that run lead arbitrage models like you and like so many of us, is like the NAR thing specifically, right? We'll just jump out in front of it and like fall on the sword.
Yeah.
Has your strategy changed at all from a recruiting or how you're training your agents or how you're approaching this whole thing? Has it changed since the like kind of D-Day NAR thing went down at all? And if so, what has changed? And like, how are you thinking about all this?
Oh man, that's such a good question. Yes is the answer. I've talked about it so much that I caught myself. One of my other core values is vulnerability, right? Like transparency. And so like I had an agent, there's an experienced agent who reached out to us I do like 15-minute phones. I have three today, right? So I talked to a lot of people. This was an experienced agent. And really on these calls, I usually control these calls. I want to learn a little bit about you, your history, things like that, what your goals are in the next 12 months. And this was an experienced agent who like probably did 10, 12 deals in the last 12 months. And he was scared. Like he didn't like, I was like, hey, I'd like to hear a little bit about your real estate journey. Yeah. Specifically what the last 12 months looked like, what's working, what's not working. And, say we get into business together today and you have an awesome experience in the next year. What would that look like? A year from now, those ones were awesome. And then he just went right into, hey, I'm really scared. Like,
wow.
It was probably
a cool first call.
Yeah. He doesn't know. I mean, you can look me, he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Right. And he was like, yeah, you know what? The brokerage that I'm at right now, I just don't feel supported. They haven't said anything about the NAR settlement. No one. And I just didn't, I feel like, now more than ever, I think agents are seeing like, dude, I heard this before, right? Like if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Oof. Yeah.
So that
feel good.
And so I was able, it's funny, man, we had Zillow at our office in Red Bank a few weeks ago, and I love Zillow. I love Zillow, but Nicole, who's our growth specialist, she up to talk to our group about. She started to talk about the NAR settlement, and I immediately stood up because it's a very important topic right now.
Yeah.
I feel very about it, and I want to be able to communicate to my people what I think is happening next, right? And so ultimately, I got up. I was like, I can talk about this, and I'm lucky enough to be in rooms. I'm on the advisory board for Zillow. I've worked really hard to get in the rooms with really smart people, and I'd be able to have some really great conversations with people and able to talk about it. But what I was able to do was I was able to come out from behind myself, even though I was like in my head, I'm like, I don't want to talk about NAR again, right? But I realized, no one's talking to this gentleman about NAR. Like, that has happened. How long has it been since this? Like, we know this has been going on for 2 years or whatever, right?
46 days. 46 days.
6 days. Holy shit. Feels like 4 or 6 years, right? So, like, but the fact that there are brokerages, I spoke to another agent who so now I'm talking to experienced agents, right? They want to go somewhere where people have a plan. I talked to another agent who's with another brokerage, and this agent probably does 25, 30 deals a year, right? I just spent an hour at my brokerage, and they were talking about the NAR stuff. I was like, oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
What'd they say? I don't know. Be prepared.
Yeah.
And I had another agent call me the other day, and he's like, hey, Joe, my broker's saying that this is an agent that I coach. He's like, hey, Joe, my broker said to me, I need to get out in front of this thing. I need to get on social media, and I got to let everybody know I'm the expert on the NAR stuff.
Yeah.
So clients know. And I was like, oh, okay. Do it right now. Tell me how you're an expert. What do you know? What's happening? Tell me. I can't wait.
Yeah.
So I have a different opinion, man, on this whole thing. I'm like, agents are getting on social media and popping off about it. No one really knows. But yeah, I think slowing down and having a conversation with agents about what this could play out. This is like a choose your own adventure, man. This is life, man. Life is a moving target. Real estate's the economy. Everything's a moving target that's constantly changing.
So if you were coaching, and what I'm hearing here for all the team leaders that are listening, from a tactical perspective, knowing that you're having a lot of these conversations with agents and there's a lot of fear, it sounds like, in the marketplace now, as a team leader, it would probably be a super cool, good, proactive thing to do to, first and foremost, if you don't understand it, probably understand it really quickly, right? And get educated on how that whole thing goes. And two, like, do an all hands meeting with your team, get in front of everyone and walk them through, here's the facts. Here's what I'm going to do to protect and prepare you guys, right? And like, get out in front of it a little bit. That sounds like probably what your advice would be here, Joe, right?
Yeah, 100%. Like, really, like, what do you think? So like, okay, Joe, what do you think is going to happen, right? And so I'm lucky enough to sit in some rooms. So like we're at EXP.
Yeah.
We had the last month, we had the top 200 teams all fly to Oakland, California and get in a room and mastermind around this. Like, that's power. So like, number one, be collaborating with people. And I'm broker agnostic, man. I'll talk to anybody, right? Like, I have free brokerage, right? And I'm here, funny, covering for Dash Carolina. I was at their office 90 days ago, like working together. Like, we believe in over competition. But yeah, hey, what do you think is going to happen, man? And like, quite honestly, like, I think that, by the way, I reserve the right to be wrong, because
I am not an attorney, and I'm not getting you legal advice.
Your accountant about this or whatever. But like, they're like, Joe, tell me about the New Jersey exit tax. I'm like, all right, listen, I Googled it, I know it, but talk to your accountant. It's your tax.
Call someone who wears a tie every day.
Yeah, totally. But ultimately, I think if we sit here and talk about this, like, how much of this is going to be business as usual?
Yeah,
that's right. How much of this is just going to be like, I mean, we were really, really, really scared when, when short sales came out in 2008, 9, 10, whatever. Like, I was scared out of my, it's going to take, like, short sales. Like, it's going to take 6 months to a year to get paid. Whoever here sees this, that did a short sale, when you listed that house, you're like, dude, this thing's going to close in 6 months to a year. By the way, if you stacked a bunch of those, it was fucking awesome. And you were patient enough to like wait. But like, and then also when ForSaleByOwner.com came about, right? I remember just brokers, because in the buyer's market, discount brokers were huge. And so Zillow, for sale. There's all these booking monsters or whatever, right? That have come where our industry was going to be changed and things like that. But what I really see here is I just listed a house that I own on the market to sell.
Yeah.
Right. We're under contract now. And I was like, oh, well, there was no doubt in my mind that I'm going to offer out a buyer commission.
Yeah.
Right. And so like what happens now is that we have to look at like what everyone else is doing in the market.
Yeah.
And so I think the agents are most afraid of the fact that like, well, everyone's going to go directly to the listing agent. Like, well, I'm going to be cut out because they're going to go directly to the listing agent. Okay. What?
Like they couldn't already do that.
Correct. So number one, they can already do that.
Yep.
And the majority of buyers want their own representation. And this is like by the way, the divorce attorney thing is really popular. I've been using that for years, man. When I was on a listing appointment, I'd be like, yo, me and you are getting divorced. Do we want the same attorney to represent? Well, probably, right? So there's that thing. But let's look at the market. Let's use our heads, right? Like, so the people that are going to win and the people that are going to make the most amount of money are the people that can solve problems at the highest level and then communicate these solutions to the consumer and to everyone around them. And so if I can say, okay, and by the way, when I pause and I talk, it's because I'm thinking, I can communicate it, right? But it's like, okay, so Mr. Seller, here's the thing. I can list your house right now. And instead of 5%, let's do 2%. And everyone has to come directly to me. And we're not going to offer anything out to any buyer's agents.
Yeah.
You're going to save 2%, right? So $500,000 house. How much money are you going to save? 10 grand, 12 grand. They're like, by the way, most agents do it for 4%, ever 5%. So whatever. But if the seller's going to save 2% on a $500,000 house, they're going to save 10 grand by paying you just 2% to represent both sides. Okay. We just sold a house in Chatham. It was $1 million house. It had 20 offers on it and went for $1,150,000.
That's wild.
So you could have saved 20 grand by just running the whole thing through me, or 25, or you could have lost $125,000 by not going to market, offering out a buyer commission and getting as many people into your property as possible.
Yep.
So once you have that conversation with me, Chris, are you gonna offer out a buyer? And by the way, what it's gonna look like, it's not gonna be on the MLS. It's gonna come in the form of a concession, right? There's gonna be ways. We're already seeing in MLSs around the country, we're already seeing verbiage. So by the way, this is already happening in Canada. It's already happening in other parts of the country. And there's been verbiage that says like broker friendly, right? Like
It's crazy that people even have to spell that. Oh,
Chris, if we were in college together, I'd have to sock on the door. You'd know not to come in, right? Like we can leave hints.
Yeah.
We can leave Easter eggs, right? We can do like this, right? We can do that. Like we are gonna, and these are all ethical and legal workarounds. Sure. Ultimately, what it looks like is what's, I believe, and I could keep going on about this, but there's a lot of reasons why I believe it's going to be business as usual.
Yep.
I also believe that right now, today, if I go meet with a buyer, by the way, it's a really good idea to start doing this now because you get, so right now, if I go meet a buyer and I have three options, right? I'm going to say, hey, Chris, you're the Mr. Buyer. Okay. Hey, Mr. Buyer. Cool. Guess what? There's three ways this is going to work out right now. You're going to go buy a house. Number one, nothing has ever changed. We're going to go with the house now, and the seller's going to pay me, and you really don't have to worry about anything except for, on our team, we do an admin fee, like for £500, and by the way, your home inspection, and we can go through all the other, pay for an appraisal, whatever. You're going to go through all those things. So cool, let's go check out houses. Number two, we could say, hey, you know what? And by the way, there's teams that do this right now. By the way, I get paid 3%. So I'm going to show you houses. The cool thing is the seller pays most of that, usually like 2%, 2.5%. But anything left in between, right? You're going to be on the hook for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then number three is going to be like, well, there's going to be houses where they're not offering out commissions to me and I can't show them to you. Like I cannot bring you there, right? It's going to be rare. There's not going to be many of them. But in that case, two things are going to happen. Either you're going to pay me my 3%. That's what's going to happen. By the way, I'm also going to look and I don't know if anybody remembers this, dude. I've seen a low commission and I've negotiated my own commission. I negotiated my own commission. Right. So in part three of this whole thing is There's going to be sellers that aren't offering out a commission to a buy side, right? In that case, I just can't represent you unless you pay me or I negotiate my commission on the other side, right? Does that make sense?
100% does.
And so 2 things on that. Number one, buyer's gonna be like, oh, skip that. Like there's like a first sale by owner. There's a certain type of person that will do that, right? And so that person, the buyer, if they see, we go through everyone's like, you got to show your value, you got to do whatever. Like, yeah, no shit, we have to do that. We've always had to do that. And they probably that up. They're talking to you. You got a referral. They trust you. They're having a conversation. They trust you. And so what it looks like is you're going to probably move on, not show that house, or they really, really love it and they're going to agree to pay you, right?
Yeah.
That's how that's going to go. So, yeah, I'll pause there.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. So the overarching theme I got there was for actionable steps for someone to get in front of this whole thing. I'd have those conversations proactively and quickly with your team. Get in front of it, because if they're not getting it now, there's fear in their brain, and the remedy for fear is information.
Well, what we found is everyone's scared. Our whole real estate team's scared. And when they tell you they're not scared, they are. And you should still have
Right? I'm scared.
I'm scared all the time.
Yeah. Joe, so let's pivot here I think specifically around this, right? We get a lot of questions, and I spent a majority of my morning this morning on like calls with Humaniz customers, specifically that like, for whatever reason, find themselves in positions where they're having difficulty like converting. So they're getting to interactions, they're having conversations with customers, and they're having difficulty, agents, right, during interviews, and they're either them or their sales manager or team leader or recruiter is having difficulty actually turning it into like a conversation. Walk us through a little bit, when you're having an initial interaction, discuss if someone's joining your team. What does that look like, right? In your brain, in your words, like how long is the call? What is the call about? And what is your goal on that initial call?
Yeah. Thanks. So by the way, this has always changed. Like I was talking, my director of sales, his name's Chris Styles. Dude, like, I think it was like today, he just sent me a text. He's like, dude, we just signed blank, a name of an agent we were looking to get. We're doing an onboarding. He's joining on Monday. So we're doing an onboarding on Monday. We have 3 like solid, experienced agents that we're be bringing on, right? And I messaged, I was like, wow, we were like fighting 20 days ago about recruiting. Like we were like it just wasn't working.
Yeah,
swing target, and like he sent me like we got a high five. We got a like text message high fives. I sent him like the Jurassic Park, like you did it, you son of a bitch, you did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what that looked like is right now what's working for us is I'm doing an initial phone call.
Okay.
Right. I'm looking at my calendar. We have 3 Humaniz appointments today. Right. And so we have social media. So people find me on social media. They find us Humaniz. They find us through up. And so what happens is they go on to, there's usually like, it will bring them to a Calendly link, and they are able to book a 15-minute phone call to speak with me.
Yep.
So I block, there's white space on my calendar every single week for these calls at the same time. So it's not like a surprise. And then, the conversation goes like this. Hey, Chris, thanks. It's Joe Oz from EXP and Zillow and Oz Group. And God, we're doing so many cool things here. But this call, I really don't have an agenda for this call. I just want to get to know you, right? And this isn't like every other brokerage. I'm not collecting real estate licenses. So I'm not just, I don't want you to get here so you're just paying fees. So really, we make a commitment to lead sharing and support are important to us. We're not going to bring anybody on where we don't have like calls and connections and appointments in your area. And we're not going to bring anyone on that we don't feel like it's a really great opportunity. So what I'd love to do is just find out a little bit about you, who you are, what your experience has been like in real estate so far, where you're at in your real estate journey. And then I'm going to ask you about your goals, like in the next 12 months, what needs to happen in your goals for you to be like, wow,
yeah,
cool. And then I'll tell you a little bit about what we have going on. And then after that, you and I will have a conversation about whether we should talk about next steps, and we'll make that decision together. How does all that sound?
I love that. And I think that what ends up happening for a lot of people is like, there's not like a book you can go online and buy that's like how to recruit real estate agents, right? We should probably write one. You and I should write one. That would be cool.
Maybe. And now.
Yeah, we should write that. But like, you go online and you're like, how to conduct an interview. And usually an interview process is like 20 questions, right? It's like, tell me about yourself. Tell me about a time you were challenged in a workplace and you overcame adversity, and tell me about this and tell me about that. And I think what ends up happening is people end up turning it into like an interrogation, right? And I think the reason you're finding so much success with the strategy you're using is because you keep it conversational, right? Like that question you brought up, like, tell me about the last 12 months of your real estate life. Like, how's it been going? That's my favorite question on the planet. Because ideally, when you're thinking about like what a good fit agent looks like, good fit agent is usually like a high I, moderate D, low S, so low C. They're like a human golden retriever, right? And they're just going to get out there and talk, wee, right? It's awesome. I am one of those people, so I'm not making fun of those people. And during an interview process, you want that person to be able to have their like personality and stuff come out. So that's good. So you ask some basic questions around them, and then you're going to give them a value prop pitch of what it's like to be on the Joe Oss group, right? Mm-hmm. What does that look like? Like when you're explaining that, is there specific things? Because like leads training and support is like, everyone's got leads training and support. That's a team, right? How are you explaining that to where you think it's received better?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I tell them that's not true at all.
Yeah.
At leads training and support. And like, you know, I can go through it, but like really it's like, if I go the opposite, I'm like, hey, what other brokerages are you interviewing at? Well, I'm interviewing a call banker and whatever. And I'm not going to pick on anybody else, but like, cool. There's 3 questions that you should be asking. Number 1, when does my phone start ringing?
That's like sticking a knife in and twisting it. Just like,
I go on my first appointment. When will I pop the first lockbox in your organization?
Yeah.
The second one is who's my sales coach? Like, who do I report to every week that's going to coach with me and keep me on track for my goals? Right. And the third one is who's going to support me in my marketing, things like that. You know, oh no, the third one is, what does day 1 look like?
Yeah.
We have an onboard. Like I have to tell you what the first 5 days look like, and then and your phone starts ringing. So what does the first day look like? And that's kind of, then they're like, fuck. But they know, dude. No, they know. By the time they talk to me, they know that everybody else is just like, oh, you should come work here and you'll probably sell houses. And I swear to God, we're awesome. And then they're just trying to get you where like, we're just like, so then what happens next is we have second appointment. The second appointment could be on Zoom it's usually on Zoom with our production manager, Chris. And what'll happen then is if Chris likes them, then he'll like meet up for coffee, right? He'll go meet up for coffee or bring him by one of our offices or something like that. And then, so we're meeting with people. It's funny, Chris who's working with us now, he really taught me something recently. I'm just like, dude, I just take everybody, man. Like I think that's too, when I was working with, I am working with you. When you and I were working together, like I was just taking it, like I always took 50 agents in like 6 months. Yeah. We like 25 terrorists on the plane, you know, like we're having a party. I got a gun in my head, but like, yeah. And I was like, oh my God. So now what we do is there's multiple appointments and we're looking for much more experienced agents. We used to bring on brand new agents. And what happens is they do 1 or 2 deals in 6 months. And it's just not enough for them really. Like, and so, yeah, this is a business now where you need to be doing 2 to 3 deals every single month, right? So I think, but yeah, man, it's but yeah, what we're doing is we're getting in a relationship and we just don't let everybody in, man. Our first onboarding, I think you were there. Gil brought someone even at the surf shop that like wasn't even thinking about getting a license. Or then, you know, like, dude's like, I don't know, I sold Joe a wetsuit, now I'm in onboarding.
So walk me through. So this initial interaction happens, then they have a Zoom with sales manager. So it's like 2-step, right? When it comes time to close, I think what a lot of people and team leaders, recruiters alike struggle with is like, hey, I want someone to come work here. How do I tell them that, right? How do I ask them to come work here? What does the close look like? Because you hear horror stories of like what happens at like, I'll say big box, right? No poking at anyone specifically, right? But you hear these stories about like old school brokers where they get face to face with you and they're like, hey, let's sign. Give me your credit card, right? It turns into this like kind of not really good user experience. How are you guys approaching closing specifically? Like when it comes time to tell them, hey, I want you to come work here, blank. Like, how does that go?
Yeah, by the time we get, so what my sales coach told me was, dude, the problem was with my recruiting is I'm a salesperson. I'm a really good closer. I can close anybody. And like, I was closing it. Holy shit, I'm going to get vulnerable, right? Because vulnerability is important to me. You know, closing everybody, and it wasn't really the right fit. Like, it was more about me than it was about them.
Yeah.
And so our coach, Chris, he was like, I'm like, yo, I said this to him. I was like, dude, I was like, yo, recruiting is a sales call. Do you agree? And he goes, no, it's an opportunity to get into a relationship with someone. I was like, oh shit. And like, you know, I had to think on that. You know what I mean? I was being challenged, and you know what? I might be wrong. And I was like, wow. And now we just have these multiple step appointments where it's kind of like, dude, right? Like, it's like there is no close. It's kind of like, dude, this makes sense. Like, and then it just kind of happens organically. And we just tell people like, hey, I think you're a really good fit. But let's meet for coffee. You know, let's make sure you understand everything. So like, we had agents who would come in, and like, we're a huge Zillow Flex team, and we had agents that would come in. They really didn't understand the referral off the top. Just like, we had agents who would do a lot of Zillow Flex deals, but you can't just do Zillow Flex. You have to go and do Sphere Bit. You got to do a Sphere Bit. Like, we do client events and nobody invited their clients. Like, to me, yeah, and like a bunch of, right? Which is fucking awesome. Yeah. Well, like, it's not helping our business, you know? And so really, like, it's just like, and I tell people, like, hey, it sounds like you're a really good fit. And so like, we just look for things also. Like, we can't part-time. We have never taken a part-time person and made them into a full-time. It's hard to make realtors into full-time realtors, right? We don't really take like technology, people that are really have difficulty with technology. Like, if you can't do an Instagram live, it's probably not a good fit. Like, you don't know how to use that. You don't know what Zoom is. Those things. If you don't know what Slack is, it's just not going to be a fit, right? And then victim language, like people that have victim language, like they're blaming their brokerage for what happened, or like, look at what's happening to me. So we look out for those things. But when someone is like, God, man, we brought on a new agent today. It's going to drive some onboard, and dude closed, 12 deals last 12 months, and it's got run a killer business. And
yeah,
we're just both excited at the end of that call. And we just let them know, like, hey man, I don't ever, if you want to be in business with someone, make sure you tell them. It's like anything in life. Like, if you love somebody, tell them. Don't wait till like a famous person dies or whatever. You're like, go tell your family you love them. Like, go tell your family you love them. And then like, if there's someone that you want to be in business with, just be like, oh man, I really want to be in business with you, but let's keep exploring this to make sure you feel the same way. And ultimately I constantly give them an out, right? Like, you can say no, and like, let's make this decision together. And that's kind of how it goes. Like, I don't want to close anybody, because when I do that, it's never the right fit. And dude, when you're good, it's like an evil power, like,
yeah. With great power comes great responsibility. So it's the gist of that. And if someone was struggling with that, just ask, right? In a normal, like, hey, I think we'd be a great fit for each other. I think based on everything you've told me that's important to you, my team offers these things that I think you're going to do well here. So I'd like to extend you an offer to come work for us, right?
100%.
It's sincere. It's not a, hey, based off everything we've said, I'm sure you'd like to sign up, right? Right. It's like, just telling them what's up and what you're thinking about, how that whole thing's going to work.
Dude, I did the same thing on listing appointments, right? Like, I had a coach like, why do you don't like, that, like, don't leave the kitchen table till the paper is signed. I was like, fuck that, dude. Like, I had coaches that were like, just don't leave. Don't get up from the kitchen table. No, weird, man. That's so weird. Like, and like, I would leave the listing appointment back, hey man, like, if they're going to work with me, they're going to work with me. If somebody else comes in they feel more comfortable with, that's cool, man. And ultimately that's it. And I just believe in like God and the universe. And I think the people that we're supposed to be working with are the people we're supposed to be working with. And if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out.
100%. I want to be conscious of time, Joe. I know you have a 1:00 Central hard stop. So this was awesome. Thank you for jumping in and saving the day for me. From a what happens next standpoint, Joe will be tagged on this if anyone wants to reach out to Joe. He loves getting DMs from people and chatting about real estate teams and surfing and all of the other cool shit that Joe does. And the Knicks, New York Knicks. Yeah, the Knicks are a big thing for Joe. And then next week, I'll be back again. Guest TBD, we'll be talking to someone. I'm going to try and get Maddie on, I think, next week. because she won't have strep throat then and be swallowing razor blades. So I'll see you guys all next week. Thank you for your time, and we'll see ya. Bye, guys.